Welcome everyone to Toonhounds, your fortnightly foray into all things animated. I'm one of your hosts, Rich Masters, and with me as always, the gem to my belly button, it's Spivzy.
Why are they always so grotesque?
Because I can't think of anything else, really. How are you, Spiv? You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah, I'm
good.
Yeah,
good.
Cool. It's April Fool's Day today.
It is.
It is.
And speaking of April Fools, we've got a guest.
Wow.
Yeah. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
That's
good,
actually,
good.
I mean, it's past April Fool's, so whenever you're listening to this, so it's still funny though. We actually just we uploaded an April Fool's episode today. Me and not to immediately jump into plugs, but us and our Heroes 3 and our sister show Swim Fans basically swapped hosts for an episode.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
it was a ton of fun to do. So
We've got I'm going to do another plug. We've got a similar prank about to be done on Storylords, but for Toonhounds, we're not going to do any April Fool's related hijinks.
Because this is too serious.
deadly serious.
Yeah. Well, because Steven Universe is a lovely, lovable fool, so we don't need any fools on the show, right?
He's just a little guy.
He's a lovely little guy. I love him to death. So yeah, we're talking Steven Universe today, a show that, interestingly, Spiv and I have never ever seen before.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me because y'all are such big Adventure Time fans, and there's a lot of Adventure Time DNA in Steven Universe.
There really is.
I was shocked when I found that out. So I'm very excited to talk to you guys about it because it's one of my favorite shows.
I think it's one of those things that I've always meant to watch, but Spiv will attest to this. It's impossible to find it in the UK.
Yeah, it's not an anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's on, I think, Now TV, which is like a £15 a month subscription, and I'm not doing that to watch one thing.
No. I mean, I'm about to get a Now TV free subscription just so I can watch The Last of Us Season 2.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have had it for long enough to watch the entirety of Steven Universe. And, like, the complete collections are, like, completely out of print.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get them anymore.
Netflix has got season 4 and 5, and that's it. It doesn't have seasons 1 to 3.
Weird.
Which, by the time we'll do a season 4 and a season 5 retrospective, maybe they'll be gone off that, because that would be just, the way luck goes, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they used to, over here, they used to all be on, I mean, whenever I originally watched these all on, I think, Hulu, because I got into the show back in 2018, I think, like right whenever the last few seasons were like starting to drop.
Yeah.
So we watched it a lot on Hulu, and it was on Max for a long time because like every Cartoon Network show is on there. But of course, famously, over the past year, basically every Cartoon Network show has been taken off of Max for some reason. So now I think it's on Hulu now. I went to a piracy site for this. I hate it. I hate it that I did that.
There's no other options though.
There's not a lot of other options.
Well, the thing is, this Cartoon Network erasure that seems to be happening is just absolutely gutting, isn't it? Like, there's so many shows from that, from 30 years of Cartoon Network history that's just like not available to view anymore.
Yeah.
It's just soul wrenching because there's so many like good shows on that network. Like, it's just a bit shitty, basically.
Yeah,
I think
it's the same with all of the ABC cartoons that were on Toon Disney. None of them are on Disney Plus, so you can't watch like Timo Supremo or anything like that. Like, they just don't exist anymore.
Yeah. And like, people wonder why like we're clamoring for physical media to come back. I just don't want people taking away things that like we used to love, you know? Yeah. It's just sad more than anything.
That's why archiving's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've never watched it before. Matt, do you want to talk about like your experience of, just give us a brief sort of like how you got into Steven Universe, what it means to you, that sort of stuff?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, I started watching this in about I think it was around 2018. Yes, it was either 2018 or late 2017 because I remember going to MomoCon, a big convention in Atlanta. It was either 2018 or 2019. I could probably look it up, but the main four, like the Crystal Gems, all of the voice actors for the Crystal Gems were all there and did a panel. Cool. That was super duper fun. And Zach Callison, who voices Steven, did the Cookie Cat rap, which was very fun.
That's cool.
Because it was so cute. They did like a little Q&A after, and these like little kids walked up and just said, "Can you do the Cookie Cat rap?" It was adorable. And I got actually have an art book that I got signed by Michaela Dietz and Dee Mango Hall, who do Pearl and Amethyst. The line for Estelle was so long. So I was like, I could get one thing signed by Estelle, or I could get things signed by the twos. And Pearl is Callie's favorite character. So, but yeah, I don't 100% know how I got into the show. I think it's just I heard a lot of people talking about it, and it was I knew it's like, oh, it's very anime and video game inspired, and I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And then no one ever talks about how funny it is. So
no, it's insane how fun it was. Like, it did make me laugh a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, I enjoyed it.
And of course, it's extremely sweet. It's a very sweet show, as a ton of heart, and it's a very gay show, which is super cool to see a very mainstream thing. That's this, both explicitly and implicitly very gay, which is a very cool thing to see.
Well, it helps that like Rebecca Sugar, she's is she a she?
It's a she.
No,
they.
she.
It's a she.
They.
She's in non-binary, so, but it goes by she. They.
But yeah, the main creative force behind Steven Universe, previously in one of the writers and storyboarders for Adventure Time.
Yep. It's so funny. I only recently really started getting into Adventure Time, like in the past year or so. And if you watch the early seasons, every time it's an episode that has like a musical number, the odds are good Rebecca Sugar's the one that wrote it.
But yeah, it felt just very from like panel one, like screenshot one felt very Adventure Time, which is like it instantly sucked me in, to the point where I watched I think 12 episodes.
Nice.
So I will say straight out the gate, my favourite is Cheeseburger Backpack.
Backpack. That's good.
I watched up to Steven's Lion. So
that's a good 10th, one. Yeah.
I watched up to that, but my favourite was Tiger Millionaire.
Tiger Millionaire.
That one's great.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm glad actually we hadn't watched it before, because I would have found it really hard to pick an episode, I think. And that's the highest compliment I can pay it, right? I think I probably would have picked Cheeseburger Backpack or Giant Woman. Because they were my... Stephen and the Stevens, would I have picked that? I don't... Yeah, so this is my point.
I did love Cat Fingers as well, know. I don't know which one I would have picked, because they were all so funny. All like funny different ways as well. Like they all like, there's standalone comedy in all of them. Yeah, I'd really enjoyed this.
And like, I think each episode has some moments from each character that I really, really like. And they may be like one character centric or something like that. And I was right as I wrote some notes down. I think the second note I wrote was that I like that I don't have a favourite.
Yeah, yeah, I can't choose between them.
And I'm not just talking about like of the three gem characters. I mean just generally throughout the cast, because when I watched Stephen and the Stevens, I was like, I love his dad. I really love his dad. His dad is so funny.
Greg's probably my favorite character in TV Universe, because I love the idea of just kind of a good dude that's in the middle of all this like crazy alien magic stuff, and it's just kind of a guy.
It's one of my favourite things about the show in general, I think, that like no one seems very fazed by this.
Yeah, it's really like casual world building.
Yeah. But you got like characters like Lars, who is like making fun of Stephen and his gem in his belly button and his magical belly button powers. But it's just a part of his life. And he's like telling him, get out of the way, I've got to stock things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's there's no celebrity status attached to magic in this world, which I really, really like. It's just like, your job is not more important than mine. And I really like that. It's a weird sort of like magical socialism that I like, which is really weird to say about a cartoon. But I genuinely don't know which one of these episodes I like more either, because I think they've all got something.
Well, why don't we just start with the first one then?
Yeah, let's start with Gem Glow. I really love that he's just a little chubby little cherub. I love him.
Yeah, they definitely, as the show goes on, his Steven becomes more and more like developed, and like he's a lot better at fighting and stuff. Like he's more capable as the show goes on, which is kind of the point. And the show also it's a lot wackier with the way it actually looks. Like I feel like I remember hearing at some point that they specifically were like, animators were told it's totally okay to draw people off model in whenever they're doing this show, because there's a lot of characters that like just look completely wild, especially in the first few episodes. But yeah, and this very first one especially, and also because Zach Callison was a kid whenever they started, and it's very funny. Like about near the end of the first season, you can tell like, oh, his voice completely changed, and they had to kind of find a new voice for Stephen.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's the way I heard it described ages ago was that it's a magical girl show, and the main magical girl is a chubby boy.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect way. Like that's 100% what the show is. And yeah, in the first episode, he thinks that he can activate his powers by eating Cookie Cat, an ice cream sandwich.
But that is what a kid would think, right? They wouldn't put it together that it is about like contentment and feeling and things like that, and they would put it towards, they would, put the connection between, what am I doing? It must be something I'm doing. And that's what I love about you had your arms crossed and your foot was there. And it's like, no, this isn't how you recreate that. You're just recreating the conditions. It's not a science experiment. And I quite like that. I do love that you said about like, he is clearly, not adept at using his powers, has been thrown into something. I find that in a universe that we've just been dropped into the middle of, really, bar the pilot, I like that he's on a journey. I like that he feels like he's got much more to learn because the other characters are so competent.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, I like how unexplained everything remains at the start. There's no point where we even find out who the crystal gems are in this first episode. It's just he just lives with them. That's all you need to know. Like that, the moment, the reasoning behind him living with them and them going on these adventures and like collecting all this stuff doesn't matter. We don't need to know it yet because it's more about Steven's involvement in that process rather than the process itself.
I think that's the thing that I love the most about Steve Universe is I feel like a lot of media kind of does it backwards, where it's like, here's the backstory and then you get the show or whatever. But I feel like this one's like, here's the characters, they're lovable, they're fun, here's them having wacky adventures based on, the craziness of their powers and the world around them. And then later on, you get to develop, okay, well, why are there a bunch of weird space aliens here on Earth? Why is there a human boy that can kind of do powers? Why is everyone just kind of cool with there being magical powers nearby? And that all comes later after you've already grown to love the characters.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, especially in a show that you want kids to enjoy, right? You want them to love the characters first rather than understand all the lore. I think that's what happens to us as we get older. We want rules established, right? It's like almost like we hit quote-unquote adulthood and then we need to understand like the sandbox we're playing in, the parameters of the world. And I agree, I quite like that I don't need to know. It's one of the things I love about Adventure Time, right? The setting is the setting, and you get hints of it, but you don't ever really get to understand why things are the way they are, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. It's character driven, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the best stories. The best stories are character driven, not rules based or, here's the parameters in which you should play. I love the Cookie Cat rap. I love the really sad line about he left his family behind.
Yeah. Do y'all are y'all familiar with Cookie Puss?
Cookie Puss? Yeah, just primarily through Continue.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it's a thing I only know through people I know that live in the Northeast United States, because it definitely wasn't a thing down here. But yeah, it's like a cookie thing that you get, but there was commercials with lore, and like Cookie Puss was an alien that came from a planet and stuff. So like it's all pulling from that.
It's really good.
They look delicious though.
Oh yeah,
they look really nice. I like the jab at the like Ninja Turtles ice creams at the start as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the ones where it's like the eyes are all messed up.
Yeah.
Lion lickers.
Yeah.
Lion lickers.
I also like that when they're trying to teach Stephen how to use his powers, and Amethyst is out there with the whip, and she's just saying, like, I can get it out whenever I want. And she cuts the bin in half, and Lars runs over and says, again? Like, how many times has she done that? And that's in episode 1. Like...
Yeah. Lars is great. They do a lot of cool stuff with Lars later on.
Yeah.
All of the kind of townies, all the beach city townies are fun. And actually that's a joke in Steven the Stevens where he says everyone in town's going to be here. That's like 15 people, Steven.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, so that's enough people that everyone can go on their own little arc then.
Yeah.
I did think that when Garnet said about centibeetles, I thought she said centipedos, and I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? So I had to rewind it and be like, oh, centipetals. Okay, all right, okay, I get it now. I was like, what is she talking about? Yeah, I love the fact that Garnet's voice actor it just sounds deliberately disinterested in everything that's going on. I thought it was like, originally you think, it's a bad voice actor, and then you're going through episodes, you're like, oh no, she's doing this on purpose. She's doing this deliberately to be aloof.
She really definitely does get better too, because I think she also is kind of like Estelle's, she's a singer, American Boy, but she does definitely get more. There's more to her voice acting as the thing goes on. She's not bad at first, but she definitely gets better.
Yeah.
And of course, she's Garnet's the coolest. So
she definitely is.
She's most competent out of all of them.
Yeah.
I did like her trying to explain how to use her powers to Stephen though, and go through like it looks like he's getting 2001: A Space Odyssey while she explains it.
And then he pops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that their approaches were like, you've got to be really super disciplined. You've got to be really super undisciplined. No, you've got to both know and unknow everything in the universe at the same time. It's like, as a kid, what would you say to that? It would be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. But it's like, how would you explain consciousness to a fly? It's we've got he doesn't really have the same breadth of knowledge or experience as them, because they've spent like 8,000 years being able to use his powers, and he's an 11-year-old. So
it's interesting because Evan is coming to the age where he's starting to sort of ask some more complex questions about himself. So he said the other day, why aren't I another person? And I said to him, what do you mean? Like, what like...
That's a Carl Pilkington question.
Do you mean, like, why aren't you Spider-Man? Or why do you live in this house? And he was like, no, why am I Evan? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know how to answer this.
How do I know that my brain is me?
Well, it's that thing, like, is my consciousness in this body? Like, what is a consciousness? I can understand what he was going for because he can't articulate that yet. But like kids are both incredibly stupid and also really wired into what's going on, and like have that insane level of curiosity. And one of the things I most like about this show is this is how kids think. Like, Stephen is often saying things that kids would say and having reactions in the way kids would have them. And nothing is more prevalent than the whole, I'm going to recreate the precise set of circumstances because I can't articulate my thoughts and feelings about the situation at the moment. Yeah, and that's really good. I really like that.
It's also like when he's just talking about his powers, like casually with people. It's that same thing as like, that's his normal. So it's everybody's normal. Like there's no disconnect between him thinking that everybody else is going to understand things. It's just, that's what he understands. So he articulates it in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that works well. There's no like secrecy behind it because that's just his life.
Yeah. But I think that's, from what limited episodes I've seen, I think that's kind of feels like everyone is quite earnest and honest at the moment anyway. And everyone like has a very defined character. And I can almost, even like 10, 12 episodes in, can almost predict how people are going to react in the show.
Yeah.
I imagine that is going to change.
It's one of those things, that's one of my favourite things to happen in a show. It happens in Parks and Recreation a lot, where it will be, there's going to be a misunderstanding or somebody's going to lie about something and then they immediately tell the truth about it.
Yeah.
And in the episode after this one, he smashes a picture frame and you think there's going to be something behind that, and he immediately tells his dad. Like, there's no hesitation behind it, and his dad just says, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I like the relationship between him and his dad. It's one of my favourite things in the early half of the first season, because do you know what? If you hadn't have had Stephen say dad in any of the episodes, I just would have believed he was his friend, and that's really nice.
Yeah,
because he's a nice guy. There's not really much else about this episode apart from they fight the centipetals. I was going to say centipedo. The centipedos. And he thinks that, he's eating the cookie cats, thinking that he's going to get his powers, and the centipedal melts the fridge, and then he electrocutes the mother, which is really cool.
Yeah, he's got a good arm. He was like spinning around in a fridge freezer by himself.
And I like the fact that the gems say to him, like, you'll work it out in your own way. Like, we each have a way of doing things, but we're not telling you that it's the way that you need to do it. And then he vomits.
Yeah.
I also loved that they were all so supportive of him burying the cookie cats.
Yeah.
I love that the crystal gems are all, I heard someone say they're basically like they're his three big sisters.
Yeah.
Like, people, at first level you're like, oh, does he have three weird space alien moms? But they're like his big sisters. That's like, they're like big sisters that had to take care of their little brother. And all of them also don't understand. Like, he's a kid, so he doesn't completely understand how the world works. But they're all literally aliens, and they don't completely understand how humans work. Yeah. So they're just like, sure, I don't know. We'll go with whatever Steven does.
Yeah. Yeah. They let him process things in his own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really nice part of the show. As a first episode, I think it's great. I think it's just genuinely, like, I understand all the characters. I understand their personalities and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. It's interesting, Matt, that you said about them, like, eventually going off the style guide, because, like, for Adventure Time, Pendleton Ward was really specific about the way in which, like, characters should be drawn and how, like, because I've got the Adventure Time art book, and there's notes in there about, like, Finn's mouth should never be wider than X, and it should never look anything like other than like a sausage shape, and it was kind of like, okay, all right, that's, that adds an element of charm to that show. And it makes me want to watch more of this show, because I don't know how I'd feel about that at the moment. I guess that's just standard. When you watch a show and you like a way something is drawn and animated, if someone tells you, they're going to change that in season 2, your first initial reaction would be like, but I don't want them to.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And there's a moment in, I don't know which season it is, but there is a moment later on after some big stuff that I don't want to say happens, where the characters basically all get like a slight style update, like just like their outfits are different and the theme song's a little different, which makes sense because the ukulele for your little kids show for the intros, it's very early 2010s, so it makes sense that as the decade went on, they're like, maybe we should update this a little bit.
This was my first time hearing the theme song. I'd never heard it before, but I recognised it because the singer Sushi Susie did a song which is just like, it's the same song, like a parody of it, but about the Losers Club from It. So that's where that was my connective tissue to it. But it took me a while to think, where have I heard this before?
You heard a parody first.
Yeah.
But also, that's a very deep pull.
Yeah.
From your subconscious.
No.
Should we move on to Giant Woman?
Yes, please.
Which is a weird thing. Woman. I'll never say that sentence again. We'll move on to the Giant Woman. I think this might be my favourite of the three.
It's very good one.
I think Steven the Stevens was my favourite, but this is...
It was so close between those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just think there's a few more little... the same thing I love about Adventure Time in this is the jokes that are animated and that were written, and if you blink, you miss them. Yeah. Like Garnet giving Stephen the rock, and then the next frame, he's trying to eat the rock. and no one says anything about it.
A rock. I paused at one point while I was watching this, and it was at the start of the episode where he's throwing the water balloons at the two of them playing checkers. He's got like his sunglasses on, and he's got this big goofy smile, and he's holding all the water balloons. And he looks like remember in The Simpsons where Ralph is meant to be playing George Washington, and he sits in the wheelchair and puts the cigarette holder in his mouth, and he's wearing the little glasses. He looked like that, and it made me laugh.
Is that when Ralph nails it? He does a really good one.
Yeah.
I think the opening's really good. I think the dynamics set up for the episode really well.
It's such a good cold open.
Yeah.
Yeah, of like the just immediately setting up with Amethyst and Pearl don't see eye to eye, and Steven's trying to be the peacemaker, and that's literally the entire episode is about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that Steven is so I don't mean simple in a bad way. I mean, like, his thought process is so simple that it should be like, you guys are playing a game and you should get on, and this should be easy for you, and like he hasn't been burnt by
he's still got childlike wonder.
Treatment. He's still got that outlook. I also love that, like, there's no adding any strategic depth to checkers. You can do what you want, man.
Yeah. I missed one episode before this one. I watched all the other ones apart from the one that just came directly before this one. So is this the first time that fusion is mentioned in the entire series? I think it is.
I believe so.
Because that's interesting, because there's no build-up to it either. It's just,
No.
This is a thing they can do. That's fine. Yeah. We don't need to explain it.
Yeah.
And fusion's very important in the show. It's a very big thing, especially later on. And that's the ending of the episode, is Steven saying, I can fuse too. And there's several episodes whenever he fuses, and it's really fun.
Yeah. It's like, I think that's one of the things from this show that is like broken containment, basically. It's the fusion stuff. Mm-hmm. That's in everything now.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the few things I knew about the show before watching it was the fusion.
Right.
Yeah, and that's again this show has so much anime DNA, and of course that's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
But that's that's just such a easily like fan artable thing. Of, let's just mash these two characters, and what new character do they become? It's like catnip for a fan artist.
Yeah. It's like if you want to create longevity to your show, add evolution or fusion, right? And then like your fans are gonna take it away and play with it forever. I really liked when Amethyst and Pearl were arguing about grammar, and then Stephen says, "Is her talking about me?"
You were talking about The Simpsons. I know Rebecca Sugar is a huge Simpsons fan.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of very Simpson-y kind of jokes.
Yes, that's a Ralph
Steven
joke.
Universe.
Yeah.
It feels like I was going to say.
English.
I was going to save this comment till a bit later, but I think what I really love about this show, spoilers, I really love this show, is that it seems like someone took like all the cartoons that I like and put them in a crucible and burnt them down to their component elements and then took the bits out, and it was like, oh, right, I want the wacky elements from Adventure Time and some of the humor of The Simpsons and like the anime elements and the deep-seated lore that you're going to get in little drips and drabs, and then compressed it into a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I was so shocked to find out that neither of y'all had watched it before.
Yeah. I'm shocked now. Go on, sorry, Spiv.
What year was it? 2013 when it first started.
It started in 2013. It ended in 2019.
Yeah, that was around the time where I didn't have the channel that any of these were on. When I was like 22, I think.
Gotcha.
And it was just I just didn't have access to watching any of these shows, so I never watched most of Adventure Time. I watched like the first 3 seasons, then didn't watch it for years later. Didn't watch any Steven Universe. I watched like the first 2 seasons of regular show. Just I missed out on so much of like that era.
Oh yeah, the 2010s is like kind of like Silver Age, I guess, of Cartoon Network. If the 90s is the golden age.
Yeah, like, looking back, I think this might be the best era of Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't hear you fully, Spiv. Did you say Gumball as well? Because like
a regular show, I never watched Gumball. No, I've still never seen Gumball.
Yeah.
That's still going. I was shocked at that.
Yeah, I know.
7 seasons coming out.
It is insane how many good cartoons Cartoon Network were producing back then.
Yeah. It's all from Flapjack. Everything stems from Flapjack. Marvelous Misadventures. Everything from that show, all the people working on it ended up making stuff like regular shows, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Chowder, like Gumball. Yep. All of the best ones were from Flapjack. And everybody hates Flapjack. But all people do is complain about it.
Each show was so different as well. I think that's what really impresses me. Like for essentially a sort of group of people to all be, because there's no way that people like Pendleton Ward didn't have like some sort of not oversight, but some sort of like finger in Steven Universe and stuff like that. There must have been some sort of crossover in terms of like the way I envision it is when like bands like I don't know the Foo Fighters and the Queens of the Stone Age record an album in neighbouring studios, which has happened so many times, and you can hear influences on the albums from that other band, and like this was just like such a purple patch for animation. And it makes me so sad that, like, the way that Cartoon Network has gone and animation in general is becoming, like, put upon or, like, having to cut corners all the time because they're not being paid enough or they're being, like, someone is literally over them, like, cracking the whip.
Yep.
And this, like, level of creativity that was happening in the 2010s.
It's all going now. Like, Cartoon Network Studios is a shadow of its former self. Like I was talking on the Discord yesterday that there's only 4 original shows on Cartoon Network now. That's it. There's Teen Titans, Wee Baby Bears, Gumball, and one that I can't remember the name of, which is about like a knight or something, or he's like a hunter or something, I don't know, a warrior. And that's it.
It's sad.
Yeah. I mean, Teen Titans Go has been on air for like 50 years.
Yeah. When did that start? That must have started in the 2010s as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because you can see all the irreverent humour from these sorts of shows in that as well.
Yeah.
Like,
and that gets
unfairly
shit on, I think.
I like Teen Titans. I've always liked Teen Titans Go. I think you've got the whole, comic purists who have a problem with it and stuff like that. And like that show is for kids, and that then became like for everyone, much like most of the Cartoon Network products, right? Yeah.
It's one of those things where the show it's totally fine as a show, but whenever that's like the only thing that's on Cartoon Network, then it's like, wow, okay, y'all can do more than that. I know it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They did really push it.
It also started in 2013, actually. So
it's the same year then.
Yeah. I'm not really super surprised by that, really. Like, it's like I said, you can see the sort of like Venn diagram of all these products at the same time, and like the influences. Yeah, I liked the getting back to Giant Woman. Garnet's hair when she activates her goggles, and her hair like almost becomes like a helmet with a strap around it. That was really cool.
Yeah, and it like squishes in like it's an afro. Yeah. It's so fun.
And then there's another great song in this one. Yeah. I mean, the giant. I like the comment about, are you a giant woman or a regular giant woman?
Giant Woman is one of those songs that does just kind of get in my head sometimes.
Yeah. And I like that the entire conceit of the episode is them getting a jaw beetle, and then she just puts it in a box at the end, and it's gone.
Yeah, little terrarium.
Yeah. It's so cute.
But this is a perfect example, again, of like some of the stuff in Gem Glow about like Stephen having the innocence of a child. Like the whole, whose stomach do you use when you eat, or do you get one big giant stomach?
Share a stomach. That's disgusting.
Yeah. We haven't even mentioned Stephen Jr.
Oh, God, the goat.
My son.
My son.
Yeah, the goat that they find. That's a cool thing that too happens, is that they like all of these adventures are them kind of going to these different gym temples around the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And they're always in, like, almost all of them are in things that are like based on real life locations. So this is like somewhere in South America. And, there's magical stuff too. But yeah, they run into a goat.
Yeah. Who's chewing on the beetle at the end. I love that bit where he was like, "You're no son of mine."
Yeah, I liked it when Stephen just randomly gets eaten by the bird as well.
Yep.
Lands and eats him.
Wasn't he just saying like, you're arguing and I might get eaten by a bird, and then the bird just chomps through the roof and eats him.
One extremely specific reference that there's, I know Rebecca Sugar's a huge Zelda fan too. I'm pretty sure whenever Steven and Steven Jr., the goat, are inside of the big bird thing, I'm pretty sure that is specifically a reference to Jabu Jabu's belly from Ocarina of Time. Yeah. And there's even like hands that come through the ground and are grabbing at him, which is one of the mini bosses in that dungeon. Which there's just, because I know who it is, I know that probably is intentional.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, especially because you've got like little items in the jelly and stuff like that inside, and there's like, it all looks, every item in there looks kind of Zelda-ish. There's like, little hands and little gems, and there's a treasure chest in there. Yeah. I think that was really cool. Fuck that mini boss, man. I hate that thing.
It's scary. It freaked me out.
But yeah, I think this was, it's so close between this and Stephen and the Stevens. But,
I mean, Opal is so cool though.
Yeah.
I love that she's got 4 arms.
Yeah, she looked very Shiva-esque.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's kind of what you said, Matt, about how like the locales feel very like of Earth, but her design felt very, very sort of Asian goddess in style. And I wonder how many of the other fusions are going to feel like that. Like if they're going to feel like, you know, Titan-esque, or, you know, like something from South American culture or something like that. Part of me wants to like spoil myself, but I don't think I will.
I've stopped myself from looking things up because I want to see it like naturally as I'm watching through the show. I also thought it was really cool that they fused the weapons as well.
Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah. That
was a real Power Rangers-esque.
Yes. Very anime.
Very Toku.
Yeah. But yeah, I really loved this episode.
It did a lot for me. Yeah.
I think this cemented my okay, I'm going back and starting to watch them all now.
Yeah, I'm going to continue watching them. Yeah. I'm halfway through season 1, so well, a quarter of the way through the first half of season 1.
Yeah.
I was really surprised how long that season is.
Yeah, all the other seasons are more reasonably sized, but the first season's 52 episodes.
Yeah, they did a season 1A and 1B, didn't they?
Yeah.
When they released it.
The other episode we watched was episode 22, and I thought, this must be like near the end of the first season. It's not. No. It's barely halfway.
Yeah. Right, should we take a break and come back and talk about Stephen and the Stevens?
Yeah. Sure.
Cool. All right, we'll see you in a sec.
Bye.
The Crystal Gems.
I'm a gem.
Steven.
You got it, dude.
You can link your mind with the energy of all existing matter, channeling the collective power of the universe through your gem.
I just turned all my fingers into cats.
Steven Universe, a new show, Mondays at 6, only on Cartoon Network.
Welcome back, everyone, for part 2. We're talking Steven Universe, and we are now talking about the third episode we watched, Stephen and the Stevens, which is like a regular favourite of people's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people love this one.
Yeah, I've heard of this one before.
Because I'd heard the title, but I didn't know anything about the episode. Because it was like on when we first started talking about Steven Universe, I had a look at like what are the top episodes of Steven Universe, and this was like very near the top. So yeah, and I'm not really surprised. It is very, very funny.
It's really good. Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for time travel antics in anything where like somebody has to talk to themselves in the past and they like play around with that trope. I think it's really fun. I love anything that like ignores the don't start a paradox rules in anything.
Yeah. I always say this when when something like this occurs, and I don't ever mean it to sound arrogant. This is something we would have done on TTOS.
I think we did.
Just being completely irresponsible with time travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine one of the characters seeing 4 versions of themselves and doing something completely irreverent that somehow, damages the space-time continuum. Again, though, we start with, like, in the middle of something. I think this show's really good at this.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know why they're looking for the hourglass. We don't know why they're in the sea shrine. We're not given the context until after that it's 100 years till they can do it again.
Yeah. My favourite bit of that is when Amethyst just goes back to get the hourglass that she wants, and Steven says, well, I'm getting mine as well then. He's going back.
But also it's that sort of like, I'm getting mine. Like, it's not yours.
Yeah. Such a good, like, Indiana Jones reference as well to start off with.
Yeah, it's really good. One thing I've noticed in the early half of the season as well is that whenever they teleport, Steven can't land. And I really like that detail. But he never gets hurt, which is a really good one. And then as instantly as that finishes, Steven's like, Beachapalooza. I was like, whoa.
That's more important.
I did really like that he let the crab out the door first. Like, after you, sir.
That was fun.
And I love Stephen's dad. I love.
Same.
Yeah.
He needs a better skincare routine, but he's a great character.
I love that he always wears a tank top, but somehow still has a farmer's tan.
Do you ever see him at work, like actually working? Because I feel like he probably has a work uniform.
Well, his job is the car wash.
The car wash, yeah.
But
I feel like
I'm pretty sure he's almost always in his his beach bum kind of outfit.
It would be weird if he wore that regularly, but when he went casually to the beach, he put a polo shirt on or something like that, and that's why he's got the t-shirt tan.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
He reminds me of like perfect version of Finn's dad.
Yeah.
Like the design and everything.
He's like Finn's dad if he's stuck around.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what happens in this because all I wrote down were the jokes I liked.
Well, that's the he gets the time travel thing and he sees that his someone's trying to wash their boat in the car wash.
Oh, that's
and he gets
it.
Stuck.
Yeah.
And so he travels back to stop the guy from backing it up, and then that ends up crashing into a power line and setting it on fire.
Oh, the boat's fat.
Fat. It's fat. And then Greg says to him, "Hey, that's rude."
And then he has to travel back to stop himself from stopping himself, and then that's what leads to them saying, well, we got to start a band now.
That makes sense. I always thought it was really funny that there was no arguments over which one was the original Stephen, because that's usually like a trope that like they'll go back to is who's the original. But in this, it's just, well, it's just you. We know it's you. Like you're number 2, you're 3 and 4.
I feel like if they had have done that, there would have been a reason for them to fight from moment 1. And I think actually it's really good service to the plot that the fight is very built up until like it becomes absolutely unstoppable and he's killing himself left, right, and centre.
And it's for something so mundane, like just a really pointless argument over who's the lead of the band.
Who's the handsome one?
Yeah, who's the handsome one?
I love the way he brushes his hair into that Elvis-esque quiff. And I love that he labels them with marker pen.
Yeah, that's really fun.
That was one idea. I never did it because I feel like there was like 1 year at a con where I really could have done it and a lot of people would have gotten it. But I always wanted to dress up as Steven and then whenever every other Steven I see to do like the numbers on the side.
That would be really funny. I like when they start to disagree and agree that they're all handsome. One of them is like, we should all go get jobs as models. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's and then it descends into absolute chaos.
I mean, he says, if Stephen's the handsome one, does that mean we're not good looking? He says, no way, we're all extremely attractive.
Yes, we should all be models. And I like that they kick him instantly out of the band. And Amethyst is the drummer.
Yeah,
they don't even go back.
Yeah, she's down for whatever.
Yeah, that is something that she would do instantly.
Yeah.
And then you get like an absolutely insane like time hopping sequence where just more Stevens are getting dragged into it. I like that they go back to the first episode. I think that's really clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I had to go back. Oh, too far.
And then Stephen gets the original Stephen from the sea shrine to not take the orb. And they all burst into water.
And they just all keep showing up to try to stop each other from stopping each other from doing it. And there's just like, the Stevens keep popping in until they finally destroy it. And then it's like body horror at this point. Like people are like melting and like trying to run. It cracks me up so much. It's like such a weirdly dark joke.
Yeah. All the way through watching these episodes, I kept thinking this kid is going to have so much trauma. Like he's bottling all this up. This is coming out at some point.
That's on. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of it, but that's kind of what Steven Universe Future is about.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, oh, we kind of saved the day and everything. What do we do now? Like after all of that. But the Steven Arrivederci is drifting off as he melts.
It is so funny.
And then hard cut to them playing
the
music.
beach.
Yeah. And he mentions the in the lyrics of the song, he says he watched himself die.
Yeah,
it's so dark.
But that is it with that episode. It's so funny, but it's a lot of physical action comedy that I feel would take it away if you described every sort of thing that was happening.
Yeah, it's so much physical and like visual humor.
But I feel like these 3 episodes are really good at showing like the depth of the show. There's the intro episode is really like, setting some of the sort of story in place, and then you've got like hints at deeper lore and character work, and then you've got like absolute chaos, body horror, and things that should make trauma but don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a great show. It's so good.
This is one of those shows where we're so excited to be talking about it that we rush through it when we're talking about it, because there's so much that we want to get to that we end up like running short. It's a weird one. This is like there aren't many shows that we've watched for Toonhounds that we have wanted to go and watch more of the episodes. And I think it's this one, Jellystone, and watching all 3 How to Train Your Dragon movies in one day.
Yeah.
It's an exclusive club of I want to watch every single episode of this.
Oh man, there was something else, but I can't remember what it was. It was something that was weird, and we were like, "My God, I've got to watch more of this."
Well, you watched loads of Fish Police.
I really did. Yeah, I remember that. It was really strange, but I'm glad I did watch it. But there was something else that we decided that we needed to watch more of, or that we would watch.
You bought the DVD of Thundercats 2011.
Oh yes, that was it. That was it. That was great. That show. But it bummed me out that it was cancelled though. So I wouldn't recommend watching it all.
Yeah, I think that's for this. That's one of the reasons I want to go through it all. Is that it's finished. Yeah. It's a complete story.
Yeah. I want. It's one of those things where, like Adventure Time, I now it's finished. I want like a physical copy of it. But fuck that, because you can't get one of those apparently.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But if I had to rank the episodes, I'd probably go Giant Woman, Stephen and the Stevens, Gem Glow, and I'd give them 9, 8, 8 respectively, which is pretty fucking high.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Especially for a pilot episode, this like broke the streak of pilot episodes being a bit garbage.
Yeah.
So the actual pilot episode of Steven Universe actually aired a few years before Gem Glow, and it's also good, but it's very different.
I did notice that there was different voices in it.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and it's kind of a proof of concept more than what we got with Gem Glow. But Gem Glow is an amazing first episode. So,
would you recommend going back to watch it? Or would you
it's pretty short. It's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting to watch, but like it looks pretty different. Voices are different, but like there's a lot of like the air, a lot of like the sense of humor. You can like see where it's going, but it's good as a curiosity, but it's definitely very different from the main show. And again, it's 11 minutes, so like you could do a lot worse with your time.
Yeah, definitely.
I did notice that there was a lot of wide shots in the pilot, because I was sort of like going through it, and I was like, felt like it was quote unquote filmed differently.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, just in general of all of the episodes that I watched, the colouring and lighting in these episodes is amazing. Like, it looks cinematic throughout the entire series. Like the work that they put into it, and the background artwork is just fantastic and everything.
I love the background art. That's actually the thing that I got the voice actresses to sign was a Steven Universe art book, and the it's like an art book of like some of it's stuff that's in the show, but it's a lot of like, you know, concept art and like preliminary stuff, and it's all beautiful and then gets real weird.
I think you're really right about the light. When they were in the sea temple with the hourglasses, they were all like, they all had a blue saturation to them.
Yeah.
And they don't often do that with cartoons that are animated like this. But like, even I'm looking at the wiki right now, and the picture of them at the Beachapalooza, like the light gradient between like where they're performing on the stage and the background and the foreground is completely different.
Yeah.
It's like they took a lot of time.
There's a part at the beginning when they're in the sea temple where Garnet is like powering up and there's a pink glow coming from her and she's backlighting Pearl standing in front of her.
Yeah.
That's incredible for like a you know, a 2D animated production. Like this, the level of detail that goes into that. It's like that could be just like a frame, just like a painting as one thing. But it's the fact they animated that entire thing is what's impressive.
Yeah, I think like just the production value in general, like is great with this show. Like the character designs are perfect. Like even the side characters at the moment, from what little I have watched, they've all got their own identities. You know how, like I've said this before, you know how they're going to respond based on how they look. It's a really great job in design.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of really good character designs in this, and it's every single character passes a silhouette test.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to speak for us both here. I think we'll probably end up doing a season 2 Steven Universe show, so we'll obviously get Matt back on that one as well. Mm-hmm. Like, you're with us for the whole haul now, Matt. So,
Right.
But yeah, there's a movie as well, isn't there?
Yeah, the movie does not stand on its own. The movie is very much, it is a epilogue movie,
right?
Kind of because Steven Universe Future is very much like a sequel series, and the movie is kind of like a bridging between the two. And the movie is very good and has crazy animation, but it feels kind of like a which I'm sure they're going for, kind of like some of the DBZ movies, where it's like, oh, well, there's this other villain you didn't even know about that they gotta fight, and you know, that kind of thing.
But it's definitely set at the end of the 5 seasons of
yes, it is very much after everything else, and would kind of be a bunch of gobbledygook if you hadn't seen anything else.
It's good to know. So I ranked my the 3 episodes. What would you give the 3 episodes? Let's start with Matt.
No. The one that I chose for this was Steven the Steven, so that's definitely that. It's probably that one, Giant Woman and Jim Glow. But honestly, they're Jim Glow and Giant Woman are similar levels for me.
Yeah. Spiv?
Yeah, I'd say that Steven the Stevens was my favourite of the 3. I liked Gem Glow as just for being a really good first episode to watch. It like sucked me in straight away. But I think in terms of content and like humour and everything, I'd put Giant Woman slightly above that one. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably say like Steven the Stevens, Giant Woman, Gem Glow in that order.
I do think there's just like fractions between them as well. Like, I gave them scores, but I wouldn't stand, but they wouldn't hold much water if you quizzed me on why I made 1 and 8 and 1 and 9. Because I haven't genuinely, I haven't seen an episode yet that I thought, that felt like filler.
Yeah.
That's really what it reminds me of Adventure Time, because there are so many. I would say there were a handful of episodes in Adventure Time that I'm like, Every single other episode is like a 9 for me in Adventure Time, and I feel like this would be the same. So thank you, Matt, for introducing us to a massive time sink.
You're welcome.
I was just looking at the trivia section on Steven and the Stevens on the Wikipedia.
Okay.
When he jokes that the town's population is like 15 people, 13 people show up to Beachapalooza.
Is the missing 2 his dad and the pirate and the ship captain?
I don't know. No,
because his dad is missing, right?
I'm looking at a picture of the group of them, and no, his dad isn't there. So yeah,
Yeah. That would make sense.
yeah.
Because I can see Lars and the other person who works at the donut shop are there.
Yeah.
Sadie.
Yeah. Sadie.
Yeah.
She's voiced by Kate McCucci, who's in
Oh, cool.
Vocal Notes. Yeah, she's so funny.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's someone called Rose Quartz, isn't that?
Rose Quartz is wait, where did it say that? Rose Quartz is Steven's mom. That it's revealed fairly early on. She basically kind of becomes Steven, and like that's
right.
Yeah.
She kind of becomes Steven.
Greg mentions it sort of offhandedly in the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And that definitely goes places, but
okay.
but that's the kind of base idea of it.
Okay. I'm not going to read any more at the bottom of the thing because I think it's filled in by people who have watched the entirety of the show.
Yes, definitely. And there's a lot of stuff that, like, whenever I did a rewatch, I was like, "Oh, that's cool that was set up, ahead of time."
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, if it's in like the list of featured characters, if it says Rose Quartz in any of them, it's usually the big photograph of her that they've got up in their house.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, right. That
Yeah.
makes sense. It says there's Ronaldo Fryman, Lars Barriga, Sadie Miller.
The Fry family is so funny.
Yeah, the Fry family, they're all kind of weirdos that like barely talk.
The little kid, like the son, he's just world weary and he's like 11 years old. It's so funny. That Frybo episode cracked me up when
That was really good.
all his clothes turn into little monsters.
I like that Butt Lobster and Blue Crab are listed as characters in the show.
Yeah, it's his debut.
Oh man, excellent! I really enjoyed it. I'm thinking of going back and watching them with Evan because I feel like it's something that he would enjoy because there's lots of like really good sort of like slapsticky humour as well that he'll instantly find funny. But I think he'd enjoy watching it with someone anyway. So I think I'm thinking of going back and starting it again. But yeah, a massive recommendation from me. I think it's perfect. It's absolutely great. I wouldn't give it a 10 because it's not God's love, but it's just great. I think I had a stronger reaction to this than I did the first time I watched Adventure Time, which is slightly concerning. Which means I'm probably going to get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, we've got to say, like the fan community behind Steven Universe is like they're putting the work in.
Yeah,
like this Wikipedia is so in depth. Like people adore this show, and I think for good reason.
Oh yeah, and it makes sense because Rebecca Sugar was like she was a big fan fiction writer and stuff in the 2000s whenever she was like a teenager and whatever. And it's funny. I remember reading someone say that there's a lot of stuff that Rebecca Sugar wrote that she actually took down since she's actually works in the industry now, and so she doesn't want to have a bunch of fan fiction or whatever out and about. Although there's one, have y'all ever seen the comic that Rebecca Sugar did, the "Don't Cry for Me, I'm Already Dead"?
I think so.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's a short comic, but it's basically about like friends that communicate only through Simpsons quotes.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
very fun. Yeah,
it's also a song by Based Frequency. Cool. I'll check that out as well. Mm-hmm. All right, then. I think that's the end of the episode. Sadly, but you can't give you too much content, otherwise you won't come back for the next one, right?
I think if we had like gone in depth into every single episode that we watched up to like the 12th one, I think we could talk about every single episode, and it would be a 6-hour podcast, which might be a bit much.
In that first 12 I watched, I don't think there was anything I couldn't have talked about on the podcast. It was insane. There was, nothing that I didn't enjoy. that in itself is really very rare as well, right? That you watch a whole 12 episodes of something and there's nothing you don't enjoy from them.
Yeah, I think, like I said, my favourite was Tiger Millionaire. I thought that was that episode was just so funny. Like the two handsome wrestlers at the end was such a regular show joke.
Yeah,
I just love that, and I love that the guy like the commentator, the announcer guy, was wearing like jean shorts under the table.
I loved the payoff for cheeseburger cheeseburger backpack where he put the sick doll on the altar and it was complaining about being shaken.
Oh god, that was funny.
So
Queasy Carl.
Queasy Carl.
Mr.
Queasy.
Yeah,
that was so funny.
I really want to find a good plushie of Mr. Queasy.
Yeah.
Stop shaking me, kid. I've got a medical condition.
You gotta stop doing that, kid.
It was just so funny, and I think that's why it's my favourite. That's why it was my favourite episode of what I've watched so far. That was just, it took me completely by surprise. Like, you know, when you pause something because you're laughing and you can't hear the rest of the stuff, and the payoff of it actually causing the temple to collapse was so funny. It was so funny. But again, it's really sort of like a sort of like crystallization of other shows and like just making the joke, like adding a +2 to it, which seems to be what this show is.
Yeah, there's a lot of DNA in it of the other shows in Cartoon Network. Yeah.
So if you didn't tell, we really liked it. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt, for making us watch it.
I'm glad that y'all enjoyed it this much.
Right. Okay, so with our thanks to Matt, I'm going to thank him for being... Well, I'm going to thank him on behalf of myself and Spivzy. I'm not just going to thank...
for me, God.
I'm not just going to say thank you to Matt and then not give you the option to say it, because it sounds like I'm trying to make you rude. But Matt, would you like to tell the audience about the podcasts that you are involved in, please?
Sure. So the main thing that I do now is Heroes 3, which is a podcast looking at Asian cinema, mainly like kung fu, Hong Kong action movies. Right now, though, we're taking a look at the movies of Zhang Yimou, who is a mainland Chinese director. He did like Hero and House of Flying Daggers. We just did an episode on Hero. We're going to be doing an episode of House of Flying Daggers that might be out when this comes out. I don't know whenever y'all put these out, but it's coming soon. And like I said, check out the April Fool's episode and check out our friends Swim Fans and their podcast, because we did a crossover episode with them.
That's very cool. Where can they find you?
Oh, yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky at Major Third. And you can check out my YouTube channel, Major Third, on YouTube. I did a video last year, and that was the first video I'd done in 7 years. So don't look forward to too many videos.
Yeah.
But I do them every now and then.
It was a very good video, though.
Thank you.
Look for Matt, but not too closely.
Yeah, watch but don't watch.
Spivzy, did you say we don't have any emails?
No, we don't. No.
Curse you, listeners.
The whole reason that I told you that we didn't have any emails was to not bring it up.
Yeah, but when you told me, I couldn't remember. I instantly put it out of my head. Because it was obviously something that wasn't important. And I was like, oh, I just forget about that then. And then I couldn't remember if we'd had 1 or 0. So, how can any listener support the show if they wanted to, Spiv?
If any listener wanted to support this little indie project, they can go to patreon.com/Toonhounds, where for as little as £1 per month, which is owing for inflation about $76,000, they can support us and get episodes a few days early. And you'll also get access to our other show, Daredevil in the Details, where we are reading Daredevil comics, we are watching Daredevil cartoons, we are watching Daredevil movies, we are watching the Daredevil TV series and talking about them on a semi-regular basis. And you get those a month early.
If we get enough patrons, I might blind myself
Not for the show, just for the fun of it.
Just generally, yeah. So I don't have to look at the comments. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing Daredevil in the Details. It's definitely a shorter form podcast. We try and keep it to an hour. But yeah, we did a crossover recently. A crossover with ourselves. In our
special guests, us.
In our network of 2 podcasts.
Give it time and we'll get more people in.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just start with the zeitgeist of Daredevil and then drag more people in. Yeah, if you want to send an email to us, hint hint, then you can send it to toonhounds@gmail.com. And we take emails on the show we're doing, the shows we've done in the past, anything you want us to do, stuff like that. And if you support us on Patreon, you get access to the Discord as well, which we post semi-regularly on, and it's always full of really nice people. Next week, it's not next week, it's next fortnight, but next time on Toonhounds, next episode. Thank you, Matt. We are doing a sequel to our weird episode. So we're going to find some more weird cartoons that are just off the wall, batshit insane, and we're going to talk about them. But yeah,
weird. That's what we're going to call it.
Too weird. That's
number 2 weird.
And then when we do a third one, we replace the E in weird with a 3.
Oh yeah. So it'll be with 3.
Yeah, and then it'll be too weird, too weirdious for the 4th one.
What if we ever make it to 4?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good chance we will. We've been doing this for like a million years by this point.
We have, yeah. There's like 7,000 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
I think we've watched every cartoon.
Do you know what the sad thing is, or the good thing is, I suppose, we barely scratched the surface of cartoons.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you as always for listening. Please check out Daredevil in the Details, and please check out Matt's podcasts as well. And as always, be kind to yourselves and each other. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks, I guess.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
It doesn't leave a lot, does it?
Waka.
Right, see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.